John, you look
Cole.
like bullhorns right there with these two big bullhorns coming
Oh,
out of your
gotta go
head.
this way.
Yeah, nice. Another one of your, what was that? What was that silly title you chose for this? Dance of the
Rhythm of the Aurora.
Rhythm of the Aurora.
See, if you had done the rhythm of the Moy, it would have complete failure.
And the rhythm of the icebergs. Yes, I
Yeah.
know. I gave up on the rhythm.
Yeah, you're not a rhythm guy. You tell that story about dancing and you were counting the steps and your wife was
Yes.
feeling the music.
You know how often we bring up music in our discussions? It's amazing. I know you love music.
Uh,
The only music I play is, of course, on a
a radio.
LP. Yeah, I'm not good at creating music, but I have always found this huge connection between the two. And when I listen to music, I get so inspired photographically. In
Yeah,
fact, I've read a few quotes lately. I've sent you a few.
I
In
love
fact,
those.
yeah, all of the ones I sent you recently, interestingly, not by design, were
No,
all by musicians.
I know. Yeah.
Let's talk about our four quotes that we've been discussing
Yeah,
here.
there's some they're really good one. I love your quotes. I mean, I now have a folder that's long with all of the stuff that you've sent me because you're much better at finding them. But here's one that really resonated recently with me. It's Neil Young. And
Mm.
here's what Neil Young is saying. During my formative years, I had to avoid all of his records. And I'll spill, or he'll spill who all of his records are, because I'm such a sponge. Neil Young says if I listened to it too much, I would start being that. He said, look, I admired what Bob Dylan did so much, the lyrics and the way he sang and the melodies, but I knew that that would disturb what I was doing. And man, doesn't that fit absolutely perfectly with what you and I really love to talk about, right? And what I'm striving to do and what you're doing a great job of, this whole idea of honest work and celibacy. I think what Neil Young was practicing photo celibacy before you were.
He was practicing musical celibacy.
That's true. But it's hey, he had the same problem as you, is
He
what he
was
was just
such a
saying.
sponge. And now I honestly have people tell me all the time that they don't have that problem. They say, I'm able to look at other people's work and not have it influence me. And I personally don't believe it. But hey, I'm not living their life. I don't know really if maybe they're strong and I'm just weak. But let me tell you an argument that would kind of erode their argument.
Okay.
Think about Brooks or others who talk about taking in all of these things and then mixing it up and it becomes a part of you. Everything we see influences us, maybe to a greater degree with me than with you. I don't know. How do I know? But I'm a sponge. And if I were to look at my favorite photographers all the time, I guarantee you my work would start to look like theirs.
Yeah. Yeah, I mentioned that in our last show, right? I mean, you can see Tony Sweet's influences all over my early work. I mean, I just love his work, and I was kind of being repetitive or derivative of that work.
Derivative. Yeah,
But don't,
sweet.
but don't you think it takes courage to stop looking at others' work, or to
No,
finally to say, I want to do honest work? It doesn't take courage.
no.
Interesting.
It takes a desire to find your own vision at any cost. In fact, I
Yeah,
wrote a blog article about it. What's it worth to you?
yeah,
We
yeah.
just can't say, I want greater vision and creativity and continue along the same path we've been following that has not produced it.
Yeah, yeah.
What's another quote? Oh, do
So,
the Bernstein,
oh,
Rubenstein. I
Rubenstein.
love.
Okay, so yeah, Rubenstein. You sent that one recently. Well, actually, I think we did that almost at the same time. I saw it as a reel on Instagram where
I
I
think you
actually
sent it to me.
I did, and I
Yeah,
saw the actual interview, and then
yeah.
you went and found it. So this
Well, I
is
transferred that
Rubenstein, and
one.
for those who don't know, Rubenstein at the time of this interview was, what, one of the greatest pianists. As a matter of fact, the interviewer, and I don't remember who the interviewer
Yeah,
was, but
yeah.
the interviewer asks this. He says, quote, when people say as they do that you are the greatest pianist of this century. Do you believe them? And Rubinstein responds by saying this. He says, quote, I do not believe them, but I get very angry when I hear that, because it is absolute, sheer, horrible nonsense. There isn't such a thing as the greatest pianist of any time, of anyone, not anything. Nothing in art can be the best. It is only different.
Ah, what
I
what a
love
strong
that.
quote. I love his response.
And he was indignant when you watch the clip.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't just this fluffy little response. He was angry. He was like, that's just nonsense.
Do you know how many people write me and will say, basically paraphrasing, how do I know if I've created a great image? And it's like, how do you answer that? Most people think a great image means it's a popular image. And there's a world of difference between being wildly popular and good or bad or great.
Yeah.
They're two different measures. And if you're seeking to be a popular photographer, it's easy. Give them what they want.
Well, you told this. I'm sorry, did I interrupt?
No, I'm just going to say, if you want to be a great photographer, follow your vision, create something meaningful to you.
Yeah. You've told a similar story. So back in the day when 500px was a big deal, I assume it's still out there as a photo sharing site. I was getting frustrated by putting up what I thought was reasonably good work. And then, you know, the next image would be some cheesy nude or some cheesy gal in a bathing suit. And they've got
eye candy.
Yeah, 50,000 likes. I've got 50, right? And so just for fun, I went out and did a crappy Photoshop version of a waterfall scene, beautiful landscape waterfall scene. And I just cut and pasted a skimpy bikini gal and horribly put it in my waterfall scene. I mean, it wasn't even good. I mean, I just want, and Cole, I kid you not, 2,500 likes. I mean, just because of a scantily clad gal in the same picture that got 50 likes. I mean, so
it illustrates that people really are idiots
and
lemmings.
Yeah. All right. So here's one last one, and I think you've got one too.
Yeah.
So here's Linda Ronstadt, the brilliant, wonderful, great Linda Ronstadt. Man, what a shame that she lost her ability to sing. Just one of the greatest. She says, look, I mean, it's nice to be acknowledged. It's nice for your work to be acknowledged, but it's not what you do it for. You do it for the work. And if you're doing it for prizes, you're in big trouble.
Yeah. Amen.
Yeah. Isn't that cool? I mean, yeah, you're doing it for the work. You're doing it for the art. You're doing it for the expression of you.
When you're doing it for the prizes, you're seeking other people's approval to get your little 15 minutes of fame. And the problem with that is it wears off, and then you need another fix and another fix. You become addicted, and you're not in control of your life. It's all dependent on others to give you what you need to feel good about yourself. It is the exact wrong approach to creative photography.
So riddle me this, Batman. You remember
Adam
that
West?
show?
Yes, Adam West.
Yeah, I remember that. That was great. What was Robin's name?
Oh my goodness, I don't remember, but somebody will tell us in the comments.
Yeah, they will. So my wife challenged me with a good question, and I'm interested in your answer. She was a little perplexed.
Briefs or Superman underwear?
Depends, yeah. She said, you know, I'm a little perplexed about you getting into lens work and your joy and excitement of that. And I said, really? Why? She says, isn't that a competition? I said, no, it's getting submission for a magazine. But it got me thinking that, you know, aren't we inviting somebody else to give us approval and then publish us in that magazine? So how is that different, in your opinion, than submitting for a contest?
Well, first of all, I think Linda's right. It's nice to be acknowledged, but it's not what you did it for.
Okay.
I hope.
No, it's
And
not.
judging
Yeah,
by the work, I don't think so. I mean, let's face it, we can't put out of our mind. We would love to be have something
absolutely.
that's, but it's why you create. And here's what I tell people: lens work was the cherry on the top of your real prize.
Right.
Real prize was that milkshake, which represents creating work that you love and are proud of. And
Yeah.
the prize wasn't the cherry, it was the milkshake. The
Mm.
cherry's just the little extra.
Yeah.
And similarly, people ask me, well, if you create for yourself, which I do, why share it with others? Because you do enjoy sharing your work with other people, and you do enjoy having it appreciated by other people, especially others who share your same values, same photographic values. But why did you create it is the key.
Yeah. And you're right. I mean, I was so excited with the project that was finally published. Very truthfully, it was when I started doing that project, lens work wasn't even in my mind. It really wasn't even part of my thinking. It only became part of my thinking when I finally sat down and asked those questions. Okay, so what was the experience of being in the Aurora? What was it all about? And how do I best share that vision or that feeling, or the how do I express with this idea of Alistair Ben's expressive photography that you and I talk about? How do I do that? And I made that conversion to black and white after I realized it was all the shapes. That's what I was in love with, not the color. And so when I started work, and then when I all of a sudden I had like 5 or 6, and I went, ding, hey, maybe this is something, and here's the different language that I can finally share, and maybe through lens work share this experience that I had. It wasn't, I'm going to find a project and I'm going to get that thing published in lens work. That was never the way that went.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was the complete opposite. It happened. Like, for instance, I'm going to guess that you just finished a project called Power Lines. I assume that's been submitted, or it will be submitted briefed shortly, right?
It has
But
been.
but you were not, I'm assuming you were not working on that project the whole time thinking of lens work.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, it would be wonderful because I love lens work, but that's not why I created it. And it certainly was not designed to get into lens work. And
yeah,
in truth, I've been rejected probably as many times from lens work as I have been accepted. So this could be another rejection.
yeah. I don't think so. I have a feeling that's going to be published, and I'm excited if it is, because I love that body of work. It's exceptional. Cool. Really good work.
Thanks.
I
Well,
think you have a
let's,
Leon Russell story
yeah,
you
I
want to
do.
share.
A lot of people talk about why do we create, and some argue strongly it is to communicate, that we're trying to say something to other people, and that the measure of success of the project is how well we communicate it. I don't subscribe to that belief. I
Okay.
believe that we create something that, and it is saying something I can't put into words. People will say, well, what were you trying to say? And I'm thinking, the reason I'm a photographer is because I don't say things good with words. Just look at the images. What do you see?
Yeah.
Well, so Leon Russell, which I've mentioned, I'm a huge fan, and that's the reason I'm never cutting my hair again, because it looks like Leon Russell. I've been looking for a top hat to wear too.
You should.
Uh, I've been reading his biography, and a story really resonated with me. He had created a song called Roll Away the Stone. And he had a fan come up to him once and say, hey, man, that really touched me. I got your message, and I've given up all drugs, alcohol, all substances. I am clean now.
Wow.
And Leon basically said, I'm paraphrasing, that's great, man, but that wasn't my message. The guy goes, oh, and he goes, but if that's what you got from it, that's what's important. And the guy said, well, what were you trying to say? He goes, look, I don't do this to go around explaining myself. And that's how I feel about when people ask me, what do my images mean? It's meaningless what they mean. To me, it's what you see through your life experiences. And I
Yeah.
tell that story of the one image in Auschwitz where there's a living man amongst the ghosts.
Yeah.
I've heard so many stories of how people interpreted that, none of which matched what I saw.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. And so I had this guy telling me that my success is determined by how well I communicated my message. Well, first of all, I didn't have a message for anyone.
Yeah.
Secondly, no one got the message that I thought. So I argue it's not a failure. it's a success because it made people think and they saw their own message. So
Yeah. Good
4
stuff.
great quotes.
That was fun. I enjoyed this episode immensely because I love all those quotes. They really get you thinking.
Oh, John, I just noticed you didn't hit the record button. We didn't record this.
Oh, no, we did.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, I'm going to stop recording right now.